In life, many things will change, but some things will always remain the same. Such is the dominance of UConn women's basketball. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday and welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Schonvisky, a two-time graduate, 10-year credentialed media member, and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, the women absolutely rolled through Butler on Sunday. We'll recap. Then, Jason Candle's offensive staff is nearly complete. And finally, Dan Hurley sounded off on the state of college basketball. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So listen, the sun came up on Sunday, and with it came absolutely another dominant UConn women's win, this time by 47 points. They doubled up Butler 94-47. 29 straight, 51st consecutive Big East Conference win at Hinkle Fieldhouse this time. Listen, UConn's 13-0. They have not lost since last season at Tennessee. And on that calendar in the future, not too distant, February 1st, is Tennessee at home. A game that I know is circled on the calendars of this team and this coaching staff. For obvious reasons, just because of who they are, but also what transpired a season ago. And listen, the women, we've talked a few times already about this current year and this current roster and the depth and the defense, the offensive play. You can go to anyone and they're going to be contributing. Once again, Sarah Strong led the way, 15 points. AZ had 13, Blanca had 12. But it was more than that. You had 6 players scoring 9 or more. So KK put in 9, El Alfie put in 9, Ali Isabel put in 9. They're just getting it, and they're clicking on all cylinders at the moment. 59% from the field yet again. Defensively, my goodness. They held Butler to 31%, 33% from three. It's the defense that's absolutely suffocating their opponents and allowing UConn to force terrible shots by the opposing teams. And what does that lead to? It leads to rebounds, getting out on the break, scoring quick. And did they ever score quick? 26-10 after one. Second quarter was 28-12. Third quarter was 24-11. And then UConn slowed down a bit in the fourth, only scored 16. But this game got out of hand very quickly in the back half of that first quarter. Because Butler was up, I think, at the first timeout. I think even Gino had to call a timeout. And then by the end of that first quarter, it was 26-10. Huskies were already up by 16. Sarah Strong, from a shooting standpoint, was only 7-13. She was 1 of 4 from 3. But 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, absolutely filling up the stat sheet once again. KK, dishing 6 assists. 28 assists on the day for the Huskies. Sharing the ball, knowing you've got the depth. Distributing, no matter who you are, finding the open player. And that's what this UConn offense is all about. Sharing the rock, getting good shots, being efficient, and absolutely pummeling opponents. Rebounding-wise, they were out-rebounded 32-30. Offensive glass, Butler 11, UConn 9. Free throw line, again, 64%. The only concern I have with this team is the charity stripe. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I think when we brought it up at that time, it was under 60% from the line. When you get into tournament play in March, marquee opponents, you got to convert at the line. They only got there 11 times, but they were only 7 of 11, 64%. You got to be 80. You got to be 70s, mid 70s at least. I want to see a little better there. Because that can lead to some, in close games, that can lead to some things where missed opportunities, coulda, woulda, shoulda had these points. Every point matters, especially when you get late in March, early April. So that's the only thing I could point to. Because this team gets better and better and better, and blocking continues to get better and better and better. And the rest of this team continues to gel together. They're unstoppable. 13-0, 4-0 now in conference play. And listen, the new rankings came out. I'm sorry. How are they not unanimously number one? I understand Texas has beaten South Carolina. I understand that. But the Huskies are rolling. Rolling. You put Texas against UConn at Gamble, at Hartford, neutral site, or down in Austin. I'm saying double-digit UConn win. May not be a cakewalk, but Texas is not going to be favored over the Huskies. So I feel a little disrespect there if I'm Gino and I'm the players. That, yeah, we're cruising. Yes, we're rolling. There's still some out there that don't believe we're the best team. Which I say, what are you watching if you're not putting UConn number one? And the Huskies will have a chance to prove it. So in a couple weeks, they've got Notre Dame mid-December. And then a few weeks later, February 1st, Tennessee. Revenge game. Circled on the calendar. And I don't know what else to say. We've already proclaimed what we think is going to happen this year. The execution, game to game to game, is there. The growth, the development, the togetherness is exactly what you want to see at this point in the season. There's just nonstop continued growth for the UConn women. And that's what we are going to continue to see here as we move forward. So, on the other side of the break, we are going to switch over to the gridiron as Jason Candle continues to fill out his offensive staff. We'll talk about that coming up. There's nothing like college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets, like this past weekend's Fenway Bowl between UConn and Army, and experiences in just a few taps. I opened the Game Time app to look at upcoming college football games and was surprised how fast it was to find great seats. The app is incredibly easy to use. I went from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. The zone deal stood out. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. Seeing college football tickets starting as low as $25 made it easy to plan a game day trip. Knowing prices include all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Back in on Locked On UConn and switching gears to the gridiron as Jason Candle continues to fill out his offensive staff. Now, we did a lot of conversations when Candle was first hired about the offense, and it was told to us that more than likely Jason Candle will be calling the plays. However, the rest of the staff that he fills out is absolutely paramount for the development of the offense from a recruiting standpoint and from a overall development standpoint. So we've got 3 more coaches to talk about today. We talked about Dixon last week, the wide receiver coach, the ties to Florida, top 25 recruit when he was a wide receiver coach with the Florida Gators in the SEC. So who's he bringing in as offensive coordinator? Nunzio Campanelli. New Jersey ties, big time. And who is Campanelli? His family. Very huge football family in the state of New Jersey. His brother, defense coordinator with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's got a couple other brothers that are high school coaches in the state of New Jersey. Campanelli goes back to Don Bosco, one of the top prep high schools, not just in Jersey, but recognizable across the entire country. He was OC there for several years. He then got his own program at Bergen Catholic and won a state title. Parlayed that into a position at Rutgers, where he took over as OC, QB coach, and ultimately interim head coach as Rutgers went through a coaching change during his time there. Then made his way to Syracuse. Once again, OC, QB coach, has also worked with tight ends. And, yep, you guessed it, interim head coach at Syracuse during a coaching change. So, what does that signal? Both at Rutgers and at Syracuse, he stayed on with new staffs for a reason. So he's a younger, up-and-coming coach. He's got great recruiting ties to a state that produces top football talent, New Jersey. So you're seeing with the hires of each of the coaches, and we're going to get to more after Campanelli. Recruiting, great experience, connection with players, development. So Candle opening up doors for the offense. So that's Campanelli. Markel Blackwell, pass game coordinator, QB coach. So you're going to have Candle. Campanelli is OC. Blackwell is going to be pass game coordinator and quarterback coach. Big time. So we talked about Campanelli, New Jersey. Blackwell, Florida connection. SEC running back coach. South Carolina, Ole Miss. Also, high school coach in the state of Florida multiple times. So he's got the ties in another key state, Florida, to start bringing recruits up here. And he's also got experience with Candle. Coaching at Toledo in the mid-2000s. Also coached at West Virginia, at Houston. He's a quarterback at heart. Played quarterback. Saw time in the NFL as a quarterback. Played at USF. So you've got Jersey. Then you've got Florida. John Murkian comes over as O-line coach. He was an assistant O-line coach this year with Michigan. So you're pulling in these coaches from big-time schools. He's also coached with Toledo, Kansas, Iowa State. And then Max Ray is going to be your assistant O-line coach. Former player at Ohio State. 4-star recruit. Also played at Colorado. And coached at Toledo. That's where he's coming from. Coached with Candle. Knows what they want to do. So your offensive staff is filling out. I still think we see Weiner as assistant head coach more than likely, because I've heard things behind the scenes that, hey, Weiner's coming. A few of the recruits have told me the same thing. This was a few weeks ago. I don't know if something's happened there since the bowl game. But that was the plan. Things have changed, obviously, in certain areas, because some other coaches were supposed to be coming here. Chris Glasser was supposed to be coming here. He's now going to Michigan State. So maybe some things have transpired. But we will continue to stay on top of the coaching staff, recruiting, the transfer portal. My goodness. Can the list get any longer? It's not a complete surprise, but we will talk about the transfer list tomorrow on tomorrow's show. But today, just wanted to focus quickly on the offensive staff when it comes to football. Campanelli, Blackwell, Marukian, Max Ray. All great recruiters, by all accounts, have ties to key high schools in key states, and also have experience with Candle. Blackwell did, Marukian did, Max Ray did, Dixon did. Campanelli's a new face, looking to prove himself now. I like the hire. Big time name in the state of Jersey. So as we hear more and more about who Candle is bringing in, I think we're going to like it more and more. On the other side of the break, we will be going back to basketball. And listen, what is happening in college basketball? Dan Hurley sounded off. I will as well. And we'll talk about it after the break. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Back in on our final segment of Locked On UConn, and Dan Hurley sounded off on the state of college basketball. And listen, I'm not surprised. Prior to Christmas, we have Baylor bringing in a player who has played in the NBA. So we're in the middle of basically a free agent period, a trade deadline. What is happening? And I know Hurley's not happy about it. He wasn't even aware this was even possible when he was meeting with the media leading into Wednesday's road game against Xavier. Which begged the question to Hurley, is college basketball becoming the G League? And we talked about this a little bit on Monday's show about how, in my opinion, college agents are giving bad advice to college athletes, which is ruining two things: college basketball and the careers of these athletes that they represent. And we highlighted. What did we highlight? Daniel Hamilton, James Bouknight, Jordan Hawkins, Liam McNeely. All got bad advice. All left early. All have not optimized their NBA career. Some did not because their careers are over. They ended up having to play over in Europe. But they could have stuck around another year or two in the case of certain players and continued to develop, continued to be more NBA ready, to be able to step into the NBA and be a key contributor right off the bat. Instead of listening to these so-called draft experts discuss, oh, you're going to be a lottery pick. What's a lottery pick get you these days? Not sustained experience in the NBA, that's for sure. Especially with the influx of international players. It's more competitive. There's less seats at the table, which means you need to be fully developed both physically, mentally, and professionally to be able to stick and compete at that level. And we've gone from a time where college players were sticking around for 3 years and then leaving 1 year early to Liam McNeely's case, stuck around for 1 year. Didn't even have a full season because he was banged up at certain times his freshman year here at UConn. But forego his final 3 to go to the NBA. And what's he doing this year? He's sitting on a bus going from G League spot to G League spot. Could have been flying around the country, as Dan Hurley highlighted, $40 million practice facility, playing in front of packed crowds, further developing his game, further developing his mental makeup. Not that it was lacking because Liam was put together, but also doing it on a national stage when it comes to tournament time. And leaving after 1 year, you lose that opportunity. So yes, you might get an early paycheck. You also now get paid at the college level. And that is what Dan Hurley stated as, hey, we know why this is happening. We know why players don't want to go from G League to G League. They'd rather be at the college level. But listen, do not turn college basketball into the G League. Hurley talked about this. The NCAA tournament is the number 2 sporting event in this country from a popularity standpoint, a rating standpoint. Do not ruin the game. Do not lose the fan base that each of these schools have by turning this into a professional league light. Don't do it. Hurley talked about wanting a commissioner. It's needed. Coach K would be perfect. Just like in college football, Coach Saban would be perfect. College sports is teetering. It's teetering. At the college football level, the media is part of it. National media. You're seeing the SEC. You're seeing the Big Ten. You're seeing the PR campaigns that even prominent coaches who have retired are openly campaigning against certain levels of schools being part of a college football playoff. The sport is teetering. It's on edge. We've gone from a Power 6 BCS level down to a Power 4. And by all accounts, there's further consolidation coming. Whether it's going to be a P2 or a P3, TBD. UConn is fighting every single day to put their best foot forward to ensure that they have a seat at that table. Because it's not just going to impact college football, it's also going to impact college basketball. And that is where we need commissioners to be part of this. We can't have a great game, a great sport, be part of education systems, and turn it into a G League, as Dan Hurley said. I was half joking the other day when I said, hey, maybe we get Liam McNeely back and he can have another year or two here at UConn. It's just, there's no sense, there's no rhyme or reason to the decisions that are being made in the sport. The rules that are out there need to be fixed. Dan Hurley even said, hey, there's supposed to be December 15th, a period of time where, hey, all college players were going to get an actual fifth year of eligibility. But that December 15th date came and went. It's gone. No ruling, no decision. So the coaches who are being told things behind the scenes don't even know what's going to actually hold up, what's going to be real, what rules they have to play in. And Baylor is bringing in NBA players to help bolster their roster in January. Meanwhile, Dan Hurley's sitting here at UConn in compliance meetings about what type of letterhead they can send a recruit. So you got certain coaches following the rules. I'm not saying Scott Drew is not following rules. Let me say that. He found a loophole. Clearly there's one there. And when one does it, everyone's going to be doing it soon. Darren Hurley said he does not want to go down that road. He does not envision a time where he's bringing in NBA players to play at UConn. He's a college basketball coach. He wants to coach college. There's a reason he didn't go coach the Lakers. He likes the relationship development at the high school level, developing them, figuring out your roster, who's going to be going to the NBA, how do you need to backfill, how do you build out your roster, how do you bolster that with transfers. He said the Tristan Newton transfer, not these transfers that have gone 2, 3, 4 places and making UConn their third, fourth, or fifth spot. But traditional college basketball program. That's what Dan Hurley wants UConn to be. But it's clear what's transpiring is unnerving to Hurley. And clear direction needs to be given. Because he reiterated he is a college basketball coach. So I think it's very important that this sport gets their act together very quickly. Because you're going to see coaches after coaches after coaches try to do exactly what Baylor is doing. So it's something to keep an eye on. We'll see how this impacts Baylor and their season going forward. But more importantly, how it impacts the game of basketball at the college level. Because yesterday we talked about how agents are ruining the game. Now, the powers that be are ruining college basketball. Outside of just agent direction and guidance for players. The whole process needs to be fixed. And going back to the draft and players leaving early, that whole thing needs to be revamped as well. Rethink. Hey, what's the actual experience going to be if you leave college after 1 year? Are you actually going to be happy? Are you actually going to be getting playing time? Or are you going to be riding the bench? Or, even worse, in Liam McNeely's position, are you going to be down in the G League in front of nobody? Trying to develop yourself to enable you to maybe join a professional team at the NBA level? Or is G League and Summer League going to be it for the next couple of years? Where you could have been playing at UConn, packed houses, NCAA tournament run, the eyeballs of the nation on you, in the second most popular sporting event the country has to offer. So I hope that and this isn't just a UConn issue. I hope across the board, players stick around longer. Because not only are they going to help themselves in their development as a player and as a person, they're also going to help the sport. Because the more talent you keep, the more talent you develop over a longer period of time, the better every team in the nation will be. the more competitive this sport will be. The more entertaining the NCAA tournament, which is already, as we mentioned multiple times, the second most popular sporting event in the country, will be. So there's a lot of things wrong with college sports today. College football, the calendar, college basketball, free agency, trade deadline. Bad advice for athletes across the board in both sports. Having fan bases pay players and then they decide to bolt. It's creating an environment which is not going to be good long-term for the entire sport. So that is all I have on today's episode. Again, as we move forward this week, women, men, doubleheader on Wednesday, New Year's Eve. We'll have coverage, both pre and post. And with that, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And for a second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today, hosted by Peter Bukowski, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And as always, go Huskies!